Welcome to my 2019 garden tour in the greenhouse just beyond the coconut tree and windmill. The newest excitement around here is a green onion crop which is growing the same way as we grow hydroponic lettuce and pak choi. 4 to 5 seeds are planted in a seedling block and transplanted into the net pots when the seedlings are 1 to 2 weeks old. And then we just wait for the onions to grow. To harvest, just pull out the whole clump of plants and remove the net pot. The seedling block is embedded into the roots and needs to be cleaned before eating the onions. The biggest clump of onions from one net pot weighed 140 grams or about 5 ounces. The next new crop is Adagio arugula, which is also grown the same way as lettuce, pak choi, and now green onions. Professor Janik of Purdue University was part of a team that developed this slow-bolting arugula cultivar, and he wanted to see if it would grow in our hydroponic system. For more details, there is a link to a recent YouTube in the video description area. As they say, put all of your arugula in one basket and watch it very closely. Now we're going to approach the curtain and open the curtain. And oh wow, pak choi and lettuce. And watercress. Pak choi grows very well with the non-circulating hydroponic method. I planted 2 seeds in most of the net pots, and they do appear to be a bit crowded, and individual plants don't grow as large as compared to only planting 1 per net pot. On cloudy or rainy days, the lettuce crop looks great all day long. However, the lettuce does tend to wilt down at midday on sunny, hot days, but it recovers nicely by 2 or 3 p.m. The best time to harvest the lettuce is in the early morning or late afternoon. I grow semi-head lettuce, red and green leafy lettuces, and romaine lettuce. This romaine lettuce is ready to put in a salad or sandwich. Watercress grows very well by this hydroponic method. There is a link to a previous YouTube which provides more details about growing watercress. Watercress is soft and soothing to touch. While conducting watercress experiments, we noticed one bed was tramped down. Turns out a dog liked to lay in the watercress because it was so soft and cool. Let's briefly show the growing methodology for green onion, arugula, pak choi, lettuce, and watercress. Water is added to fill the growing tank about half full. Fertilizer stock solution A is prepared by adding 1 pound of ChemGrow 815-36 plus 0.6 pounds of magnesium sulfate per gallon of water. 4 ounces of stock solution A was added to this growing tank. Four ounces of stock solution B are also added to the growing tank. Stock solution B contains 1 pound of solution-grade calcium nitrate plus 1 teaspoon iron chelate, and this is only an option because ChemGrow already contains iron, per gallon of water. The tank was filled with water to about 3/4 inch from the top. Fiberglass window screen was placed over the tanks for mosquito control and was folded under the polystyrene tank covers. Polystyrene tank covers were placed on the tanks. Net pots were placed in the covers. 1 to 2 week old seedlings were placed in the net pots. Nothing was then done for about 5 weeks, and this beautiful crop developed. Now let's turn our attention to tomatoes, which is a longer-term crop where it is necessary to add more nutrient solution as the crop grows. The foliage was heavily pruned, and I delayed picking some fruit just to make this video more colorful. Why is the bell ringing? What's going on? It's tomato tour time. Just feast your eyes on this colorful sight of red and green tomatoes. Oh, that one tomato looks a little overripe, and it may have been pecked at by a bird. By the way, there is also a link to a previous video with more details on growing tomatoes and peppers by this growing method. There were several plantings of F1 hybrid Yellow Hot 1116 peppers. Now, Yellow Hot isn't quite as hot as Red Hot, but they still can get pretty hot. These peppers will turn red when they become more mature. In general, pepper plants don't grow quite as vigorously as tomato plants. For the tomatoes and one pepper planting, fertilizer stock solutions A and B were added to a nutrient solution storage tank where water was added with this red float valve. Nutrient solution flowed by gravity to this float valve sump assembly, which supplied and maintained a constant level of nutrient solution in the growing tanks. Growing tanks consisted of 3-foot by 2-foot plastic concrete mixing trays covered by polystyrene. Fiberglass window screen was installed for mosquito control, and this also improves the rooting of tomatoes and peppers. Several types of cucumbers were grown, such as this Japanese variety, and several Persian varieties. Some cucumbers were long, some were a bit crooked, and this cucumber even had a handy carrying handle. Cucumbers were grown in a tank at ground level, which was covered with window screen. The level of nutrient solution was controlled with this simple homemade float valve. Another cucumber planting was grown in a small tank filled with growing medium, which was sub-irrigated with water, and periodic applications of nutrient solution were made. Plants weren't as vigorous, but they lasted longer. That's strange. It looks like there's beans growing on this cucumber plant. Could this be a rare sighting of a cuc-bean plant? No, it's just a wayward bean from an adjacent tank that migrated over to the cucumber trellis. Eggplants take a little longer than the other crops to mature, but they're growing very vigorously. Hiding inside the foliage canopy are some long purple eggplant fruits. Eggplants seem to prefer some growing medium, so this tank had an upside-down nursery tray which will be covered by growing medium, and a 1-inch depth of nutrient solution will be maintained in the tank. Another sub-irrigated eggplant tank and also the previous cucumber tank utilized upside-down pots to increase aeration of the growing medium, which covered them, and this also saved on the growing medium. Of course, my garden wouldn't be complete unless I grew ginger by the Larry Hall method. Ginger was grown in pots of growing medium. Ginger was harvested by emptying pots in a wheelbarrow, and ginger rhizomes were collected, then washed and dried in these nursery trays, and the ginger rhizomes were ready to eat. Here's how the Larry Hall method works. A net pot filled with growing medium was placed through a hole in the bottom of the growing pot, so it would look like this. The pot was filled with growing medium, and the net pot was placed through the hole in the water supply pipe. The growing medium in the pot is then moistened by capillary action. Oh yeah, don't forget to plant a ginger seed piece and add some slow-release fertilizer to the pot. Sweet potatoes were grown in a trough filled with growing medium, which was watered by the Larry Hall method. A 3-inch plastic drain tube was filled with water by a float valve sump apparatus. Net pots were placed through geotextile fabric, which lined the trough, and into the tube filled with water. The trough was filled with growing medium, and this was moistened by capillary action from the immersed net pot. My neighbors had been supplying tangerines from their tree, which was just loaded this winter. and it was very gratifying to return their kindness with baskets full of vegetables. Well, folks, it's time to go back outside to the coconut tree and reach up and touch the magic coconut and say, Aloha!